We have one final speaker tonight who's going to be talking about crying over sweet potatoes. So we go from laughing to crying. Dillan, is Dillan here? Dillan DiGiovanni, thank you so much for being here. And Dylan's going to close this out, so go for it.
Great. I was actually sobbing over sweet potatoes. I was going for the alliteration, you know. So I have this bump on my face that started like a few weeks ago, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, it's a zit," you know. But I knew it wasn't a zit because I've had acne, and not just it's a cyst. It's fine. It's gonna be fine. It's just a face. But I wanted to bring it into the story because it's, you know, my life. So I was like, how fitting. Because I've had acne, and not just the, like, you know, pubescent thing that we all dealt with where, like, you know, you got made fun of in 8th grade or 7th grade. 7th grade, by the way, I think is hell on earth. It's just, we all survived it, so whatever comes after death, it's fine. It's just middle school again. So I had all that. It was fine. But I got real, like, acne, like the Proactive, you know, before commercials. And this was like, what is going on? I was 26 or 28. I forget, how old am I now? It was a while ago. And I know I look 22, but I'm actually not. And it like came on kind of out of nowhere. And I was in my late 20s. You know, I was like, what is this? And I had quit my teaching career. I know, right? So I should get a medal for that. And I was now working in health food stores, and I walked away from tenure at 25. That's right, on purpose. I was working in health food stores, and I was working as a youth advisor in a church. And I was at one of the youth retreats and looking in the mirror, where, you know, like, sleep on the basement floor, and I was looking in the mirror. I was like, maybe it's the lighting. No, my skin doesn't look too good. And then all of a sudden, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. So you couldn't see my whole face except for my eyes. It was like that big broken out thing. And I definitely went into like a state of denial, because when you look like that and you're like in your late 20s, you're just like, whatever, I can't even care about this. And I was working at the health food store, and I'd be like trying to help the customers buy their vitamins, and the customers would be like ignoring everything I'd say and just like looking at me and being like, wait till I would pause, and they'd be like, what are you doing about your face, you know? And I'd be like, oh my God, and I would like go to the back break room and break down in tears. It was mortifying year of my life. And I tried everything I knew to do. I was working in a health food store, and I'd been working in those stores for years, so you would think. So I tried all the topical things. Did you ever notice when you have a problem and you're like slightly imperfect, everyone suddenly has ideas for you? Just 2 days ago, someone was like, what's the other guy look like? Where'd you get the shiner? I was like, actually, it's a cyst. And they're like, oh. It's just, you know, it's hilarious how humans are. Like, my whole face could be perfect except for that one thing, and that's what they focus on. But so everyone was giving me advice, and I was trying all the topical things and burning my face off, and it wasn't working. It was only making the problem worse. Finally break down and go to get freaking antibiotics. Those things don't work either. But those dermatologists need to sell those prescriptions, so I was taking those stupid antibiotics. And finally, one of the moms at the church that I'd been working at comes up to me one day, and real gentle, she's like, honey, what's wrong with your face? And I was like, I don't know. And it felt different from like all the other unsolicited advice. This was a person who was genuinely like concerned. So she tells me that she's going to this nutrition school, and she's practicing to be able to graduate, and she could help me. And I was like, okay, fine. So we get on the phone. She's like, I have to do this remote session. I do the energy work. And I was like, whatever, lady, just fix my face, please. And as I'm talking to her, I'm sitting at my dining room table waiting for this girl to come over, because, yes, I'm actually not gay. I'm attracted to women. I'm transgender. That's why you might be confused, because I sound gay. Everyone thinks that I am, but I'm not. Surprise! So I was waiting for my girlfriend to come over, and this girl, by the way, liked me even though my face looked horrible. But then when she was coming over, I was so mortified about my appearance. I actually had lit a candle to like have low light so she wouldn't see my face. And then like a month later, I told her, I confessed that. And she was like, oh, I thought you were just being romantic. I was like, no, I was hiding my face from you. So I was waiting for her to come over, and this woman, I'm doing this energy session, and she's like, oh, and I'm getting this reading, and and then she stops. She's like, your soul is trapped between two worlds. Now, this was in 2005, and I didn't come out as transgender until 2012, so that's some crazy shit, right? So at this point, I was just like, oh, wow, what does that mean? I don't know. Can you fix my face? So she's like, she does the kind of questions, which I understand now, because I ended up going to that nutrition school. She's asking me these questions like, what are you eating? And see, I had a really horrendous eating disorder when I was 18. So now I'm 28, and I think I'm over it. But like, if you've ever had one, that never really goes away. It's just kind of like it's like back here, and it gets maybe quiet, and then it gets really loud, and then it gets like a little quiet again. That's my experience anyway. So I thought I had it handled, but apparently I hadn't, because at this point, what I was subsisting on, despite working at health food stores and knowing better, was Indian food out of a can. Let me say that again. Indian food out of a can. And chocolate chip cookies, and these protein nutrition bars. That were like these densely packed, highly processed things. And this is what I was subsisting on. But I was so disconnected from my body that this never occurred to me as like not food and not healthy nutrition. So what had actually happened is my liver had become so toxic that this woman who was doing this reading on me told me I was like one step away from like my liver falling, like just failing, like liver failure. And she had got me at that moment, because what the liver does is it synthesizes the hormones. And so whenever you get a breakout, there's an indication that your liver is trying to tell you, help! And that's what was going on. And then the antibiotics doesn't make it better. It makes it absolutely good. You've learned something tonight. My teaching days are not over. So she says, I have an assignment for you. I want you to cook yourself a dinner. Again, there was a disconnect in my brain between what I thought I was doing and how I was actually feeding myself, right? So I'm thinking, this is no big deal. I can totally do this. So now this girl shows up, and I'm like, I'm going to make you dinner. And she's like, cool. And I'm sure she was interested, because I hadn't yet cooked her anything. Now, here's what gets interesting. She had also gone to that nutrition school. She hadn't told me that. So as I'm sitting there with the cutting board, and I pick up a knife, and there's a sweet potato in front of me, and my hand starts trembling, and I'm like, why don't you do it? Here, you do it. And she crosses her arms across her chest. She's like, nope. This was a new romance. So I was testing her. And so I was like, no, really, you could do it. And she's like, nope. Because she knew what the assignment was about. The assignment was about me getting over my self-neglect that was manifesting itself all over my face. And also my lack of self-love. Because to cook for oneself is an act of self-care. And she knew that. And it led to me having a bit of a tantrum, because I had to have that confrontation with myself and have that breakdown where I'm literally sobbing, tears streaming down my face while I'm trying to cut a sweet potato. And it may have meant that she went down the hallway and went into my bedroom and closed the door so that I could have that catharsis by myself. And then she came out later. Maybe she helped me cook the sweet potato. I don't really know. But about a week later, I sat down with my journal, because now I kind of got it. And I had cut through the wall, and I was cooking, and I was cutting up that food, and I was sautéing things just like I had 5 or 6 years earlier. Cooking was not a foreign thing. I had done it. But from a breakup and from a lot of moves and for a lot of different reasons, the self-care had dropped out. And I forgot to do what I had been doing and what I knew to do. Just got into bad habits. That's where that acne came from. And I picked up those habits again, and I was doing better, and I was journaling, and I started crying. Because I was begging someone, because I was kind of anti-God at that point. I was raised Catholic, don't judge. So I had to go through my hating God phase. I love him now, he's a great guy. Actually Buddhist. But I was praying. I was like, listen, I get it. I did not value my face. I did not care. I didn't love it. I shied away from cameras. I just, please give me my face back. It was a good face, and I could have it. I would like it. Tears streaming. Within a week, the acne was completely gone. Can't make it up. Completely gone. And I wasn't even taking the antibiotics. And that's why when the acne came back again in 2012 from hormone replacement therapy, I didn't really give a shit. Because I had been through the worst of it, and I knew why it was happening now. I had to go through, imagine going through menopause and puberty at the same time at the age of 34. Live to tell about it. And then imagine watching as your eyebrows thicken and then like the muscles in your jaw start to get tight from testosterone and like your face literally morphs in front of your very eyes. I've had 2 faces in one lifetime, and it's pretty rad. And so that's why when people make jokes about this stupid cyst that's just gonna get taken care of, like there's nothing anymore that can like happen to my face or my body that has any power over me, because I know what I need to do to take care of myself. I know that I'm beautiful, like no matter whether I'm perfect or imperfect. A little zit doesn't mean that I'm unattractive or not whole. But it really, that moment of picking up a knife and literally not being able to cut a sweet potato to feed myself changed the whole game. Thanks.